Today we're visiting one of the seven wonders of Poland, a world-famous marvel of 19th century engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the Elbląg Canal. I'm simply elated because today I will be taking a series of 2 cruises, starting in Ostródy on one of Poland's most scenic canals. Before we embark, I'd like to illustrate one of the reasons this might not be a popular means of actual transit. It is by no means high speed. We will be traveling from point 15 to 17 today, and this is not a far distance, but it will take about 2 hours. The first leg of our tour sets off in the city of Ostródy, a town with approximately 33,000 inhabitants, and the second largest in Mazoria, after Elk. Even in the Middle Ages, the old Prussians utilized the strategic location of an island on the river Delta. These same waterways would ultimately provide access to the Baltic coast, thanks to the construction of the canals we'll be visiting. So we've just entered our first branch of the canal, and it's amazing what a transformation the contrast is between the lake and the artificial body of water. Here is very calm. It actually feels safer in a sense. You can see that the water is far more shallow. Also, curiously, the bridges are quite low, especially the older ones, and therefore new boats that are manufactured with the explicit purpose of utilizing canals such as this actually have a mechanism to lower their rooftop so that they can make passage. Experiencing these man-made waterways was exciting, but riding the historic locks was even more captivating. This is beyond insane. This huge boat is entering a very narrow lock. And I think we're about to ascend a bit, which is kind of the hallmark of these canals. This is wild because this boat basically fits in here by inches. And you're on a boat in the water, but in the middle of the land, like there's a lady walking her dog right here above us. This is the craziest thing.
Budowę kanału rozpoczęto w 1844 roku, zakończono w 1860, czyli właściwie na dzień dzisiejszy to jest ponad 160 lat funkcjonowania w dobrej kondycji. Oczywiście w różnym czasie powstawały poszczególne elementy tego systemu, natomiast w tym 1860 roku to były 4 pochylnie i kanał o długości bez mała 100 km. Cały kanał, czyli oczywiście z możliwością dopłynięcia do Iławy, Zalewa i tak dalej, to jest prawie 200 tak naprawdę kilometrów i jest to zdecydowanie najdłuższa droga czy szlak żeglowny w Polsce. Myślę też, że bardzo ciekawy, zdecydowanie bardzo zróżnicowany i myślę, że każdy może znaleźć tutaj coś dla siebie.
We are headed up to a location where pine was harvested to build ship masts. A canal system was needed for the ease of transporting huge lumber intact up to Elbląg and then further on to the Gdańsk Bay. This was the solution, built between 1844 and 1881. It's incredible to see that this marvel of engineering still functions well intact to modern day. Piloting skills are incredible because there's literally no room. I mean, the boat is kind of like grinding along on 2 sides, and the pilot is immaculate, just totally focused. Even stranger is that he just has a view forward. There's really no way to see behind him when you go through the tunnel, so he has to kind of feel when the boat has exited. It's kind of stressful, actually, to watch. So this canal system capitalizes on the thousands of naturally occurring lakes in the region, and it creates an amazing impression for the traveler because when you exit the canal, which is quite tight, it's almost like a release into this huge body of water. You see birds fly off into the horizon, lily pads float off to the side, and grass sways. It's incredible, and it's relaxing, but it's also a little bit deceiving in that you could easily forget this entire complex was set up to enable logistics, trade, movement of merchandise. And today, it's nothing but pleasure. This cruise was incredible. I feel more wholesome as a person for having a few moments and a peace of mind in the nature. Well, that was a fantastic cruise, but we have one more that's going to go through a canal, on the land, and then back in. But before heading back out on the water, I thought it best to grab a quick bite to eat. Given that the canals attract visitors in masses, there are some very cool restaurants to choose from. I went with a fashionable steakhouse that serves world-class meals and often with a regional twist. I'm taking a little time out for food, and I discovered the biggest hidden gem in the region. This is like a New York / Paris style steakhouse that you would never, ever, ever suspect if you were just driving down the road. But once you enter, you're teleported into a new world, and the food is abundant. I have a ripened steak. The steak is ripened by about 28 days here. And if I want it medium rare instead of rare, I'll heat it up on my 300-degree piece of stone. As an appetizer, we have whitefish. There's also a Polish classic, chilled summertime soup, and a regional dish, fish soup. Let's see how far I can take this. This meal was nothing but artistry. In fact, there were moments that I was ashamed to be cutting into the dish because it looked so beautiful. But it was not pretentious by any means. It was absolutely given to be consumed. There were little details that could lead you to understand this notion, such as the sauce served with steak. Anyone who eats steak knows that the chef is typically offended if you ask for a sauce, such as a ketchup or a barbecue sauce. But the chef here has the degree of confidence that he will actually create sauces to go with the steak that by no means requires them. The steak was a total hit, and all that remains now is for me to eat my veggies and my whitefish. After dinner, I set out to one of the more iconic sections of the canal to have the most unique boat ride of my life. So for our second cruise, we're going to experience something quite fascinating, a 19th century solution to a huge engineering challenge. Back in the day, lumber was transported along these canals, but there was a mighty range in altitude between various sections. Therefore, they came up with a very unique solution. Boat has just loaded onto its trailer, and in a moment, those wheels are going to rev up, start spinning. We will move forward and ascend, then descend this hill. That was a very unique experience. When the ship pulled onto its trail bed, the stabilization was unnatural and strange. Then it started to rattle, almost kind of like a distinctive train track sound. And as we ascended the hill, I found myself wondering, should I put my hands up as we go down? Because the view most certainly resembled that of a roller coaster ride. Today I've learned some valuable lessons about canal life. Basically, you sip on tea, enjoy the gorgeous views. If another boat passes, you wave to them, they wave back. And it's a little bit misleading because this serious engineering It was no joke when they built it. This cost the equivalent of when the United States acquired Alaska. But as a tourist attraction, it's worth so much more. The 4 original incline planes are summited between 20 and nearly 22 meters and function much as they did when they were constructed in the late 19th century. The canal worked independently of other waterways to ensure required boat limits on the various inclines. The boats have a maximum length of 24.48 meters, a maximum width of 2.98 meters, and a shallow draft of just 1.1 meters. They can carry loads of about 50 tons. The inclines all consist of 2 parallel rail tracks with a gauge of 3.27 meters. The Elbląg Canal. There is literally nothing else like it on planet Earth. And for that reason, I'd invite you to come here and experience it for yourself. And until you do, I am Ryan Sokash for Poland In.